The Kushan Empire was a syncretic empire, formed by the Yuezhi, in the Bactrian territories in the early 1st century. It spread to encompass much of modern-day territory of Afghanistan, Pakistan and northern India, at least as far as Saketa and Sarnath near Varanasi, where inscriptions have been found dating to the era of the Kushan Emperor Kanishka the Great. The Kushans were most probably one of 5 branches of the Yuezhi Confederation, an Indo-European nomadic people of possible Tocharian origin, who migrated from northwestern China and settled in ancient Bactria. The founder of the dynasty, Kujula Kadphises, followed Greek religious ideas and iconography after the Greco-Bactrian tradition, but was also a devotee of the Hindu God Shiva, an almost historical necessity due to the presence of Indian culture and traders on the Silk Road. The Kushans in general were also great patrons of Buddhism, and, starting with Emperor Kanishka, they also employed elements of Zoroastrianism in their pantheon. They played an important role in the spread of Buddhism to Central Asia and China. The Kushans possibly used the Greek language initially for administrative purposes, but soon began to use the Bactrian language. Kanishka sent his armies north of the Karakoram Mountains. A direct road from Gandhara to China remained under Kushan control for more than a century, encouraging travel across the Karakoram and facilitating the spread of Mahayana Buddhism to China. The Kushan dynasty had diplomatic contacts with the Roman Empire, Sasanian Persia, the Aksumite Empire and the Han dynasty of China. The Kushan Empire was at the center of trade relations between the Roman Empire and China, according to Alain Danyalou. For a time, the Kushana Empire was the center point of the major civilizations. While much philosophy, art, and science was created within its borders, the only textual record of the empire's history today comes from inscriptions and accounts in other languages, particularly Chinese. The Kushan Empire fragmented into semi-independent kingdoms in the 3rd century AD, which fell to the Sasanians invading from the west, establishing the Kushano-Sasanian kingdom in the areas of Sogdiana, Bactria, and Gandhara. In the 4th century, the Guptas, an Indian dynasty, also pressed from the east. The last of the Kushan and Kushano-Sasanian kingdoms were eventually overwhelmed by invaders from the north, known as the Kidarites, and then the Hephthalites. Origins. Chinese sources describe the Gaishuang, i.e. the Kushans, as one of the 5 aristocratic tribes of the Yuezhi. There is scholarly consensus that the Yuezhi were a people of Indo-European origin. A specifically Tocharian origin of the Yuezhi is often suggested. An Iranian, specifically Saka, origin, also has some support among scholars. Others suggest that the Yuezhi might have originally been a nomadic Iranian people, who were then partially assimilated by settled Tocharians, thus containing both Iranian and Tocharian elements. The Yuezhi were described in the records of the great historian in the Book of Han as living in the grasslands of eastern Xinjiang and northwestern part of Gansu, in the northwest of modern-day China, until their king was beheaded by the Xiongnu, who were also at war with China, which eventually forced them to migrate west in 176 to 160 BCE. The 5 tribes constituting the Yuezhi are known in Chinese history as Shumi, Gaishuang, Swangmi, Shtun, and Dumi. The Yuezhi reached the Hellenic kingdom of Greco-Bactria around 135 BC. The displaced Greek dynasties resettled to the southeast in areas of the Hindu Kush and the Indus Basin, occupying the western part of the Indo-Greek kingdom. In India, Kushan emperors regularly used the dynastic name Kappa Omicron Alpha Nu Omicron on their coinage. Several inscriptions in Sanskrit in the Brahmi script, such as the Madhura inscription of the statue of Bhima Kadphises, refer to the Kushan emperor as Gupta Allahabad Ku.jpg Gupta Gujarat Sa.jpg Gupta Ashoka NN.svg, Ku Sa Na. Some later Indian literary sources referred to the Kushans as Turushka, a name which in later Sanskrit sources was confused with Turk, probably due to the fact that Turkestan passed into the hands of the Western Turks in the 7th century. Yet, according to Wink, nowadays no historian considers them to be Turkish Mongoloid or Hun, although there is no doubt about their Central Asian origin. Early Kushans. Some traces remain of the presence of the Kushans in the area of Bactria and Sogdiana in the 2nd–1st century BCE, where they had displaced the Sakas, who moved further south. Archaeological structures are known in Tuktai Songin, Sirk Kotal, and in the Palace of Kalkayan. On the ruins of ancient Hellenistic cities such as Iconium, the Kushans are known to have built fortresses. Various sculptures and friezes from this period are known, representing horse-riding archers, and, significantly, men such as the Kushan prince of Kalkayan with artificially deformed skulls, a practice well attested in nomadic Central Asia. Some of the Kalkayan sculptural scenes are also thought to depict the Kushans fighting against the Sakas. In these portrayals, the Yuezhis are shown with a majestic demeanor, whereas the Sakas are typically represented with side whiskers, and more or less grotesque facial expressions. The Chinese first referred to these people as the Yuezhi and said they established the Kushan Empire, although the relationship between the Yuezhi and the Kushans is still unclear. Ban Gu's Book of Han tells us the Kushans divided up Bactria in 128 BCE. Fan Yi's Book of Later Han relates how the chief of the Kushans, Chu Shu Chui, founded by means of the submission of the other Yuezhi clans the Kushan Empire. The earliest documented ruler, and the first one to proclaim himself as a Kushan ruler, was Horaios. He calls himself a tyrant in Greek on his coins, and also exhibits skull deformation. He may have been an ally of the Greeks, and he shared the same style of coinage. Horaios may have been the father of the first Kushan emperor Kujula Kadphises. The Chinese Book of Later Han Chronicles then gives an account of the formation of the Kushan Empire based on a report made by the Chinese general Ban Yang to the Chinese emperor circa 125 AD. More than 100 years later, the Prince of Gaizhuang established himself as king, and his dynasty was called that of the Gaizhuang king. He invaded Anxi, and took the Jaifu region. He also defeated the whole of the kingdoms of Puda and Jibin. Qiujiak was more than 80 years old when he died. His son, Yang Aozhen, became king in his place. He defeated Tiansu and installed generals to supervise and lead it. The Yuezhi then became extremely rich. All the kingdoms call the Gaizhuang king, but the Han call them by their original name, the Yuezhi. Book of Later Han. Diverse cultural influences. In the 1st century BCE, the Gaizhuang gained prominence over the other Yuezhi tribes, and welded them into a tight confederation under Yabgu Kujula Kadphises. The name Gaizhuang was adopted in the West and modified into Kushan to designate the confederation, although the Chinese continued to call them Yuezhi. Gradually wresting control of the area from the Scythian tribes, the Kushans expanded south into the region traditionally known as Gandhara and established twin capitals in Bagram and Peshawar, then known as Kapisa and Pushklavati respectively. The Kushans adopted elements of the Hellenistic culture of Bactria. They adopted the Greek alphabet to suit their own language and soon began minting coinage on the Greek model. On their coins they used Greek language legends combined with Pali legends, until the first few years of the reign of Kanishka. After the middle of Kanishka's reign, they used Kushan language legends, combined with legends in Greek and legends in Prakrit. The Kushans adopted many local beliefs and customs, including Zoroastrianism and the two rising religions in the region, the Greek cults and Buddhism. From the time of Vima Takto, many Kushans started adopting aspects of Buddhist culture, and like the Egyptians, they absorbed the strong remnants of the Greek culture of the Hellenistic kingdoms, becoming at least partly Hellenized. The great Kushan Emperor Vima Kadphises may have embraced Shaivism, as surmised by coins minted during the period. The following Kushan emperors represented a wide variety of faiths including Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, and Shaivism. The rule of the Kushans linked the seagoing trade of the Indian Ocean with the commerce of the Silk Road through the long civilized Indus Valley. At the height of the dynasty, the Kushans loosely ruled a territory that extended to the Aral Sea through present-day Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan into northern India. The loose unity and comparative peace of such a vast expanse encouraged long-distance trade, brought Chinese silks to Rome, and created strings of flourishing urban centers. Territorial expansion. Rosenfield notes that archaeological evidence of a Kushan rule of long duration is present in an area stretching from Sirk Kotal, Bagram, the summer capital of the Kushans, Peshawar, the capital under Kanishka I, Taxila, and Madara, the winter capital of the Kushans. The Kushans introduced for the first time a form of governance which consisted of kshatrapas and nakshatrapa. Other areas of probable rule include Krame and its capital city of Taprak Kala, Kausambi, Sanchi and Sarnath, Malwa and Maharashtra, and Odisha. Kushan invasions in the 1st century CE had been given as an explanation for the migration of Indians from the Indian subcontinent toward Southeast Asia according to proponents of a Greater India theory by 20th century Indian nationalists. However, there is no evidence to support this hypothesis. The recently discovered Rubatak inscription confirms the account of the Ho Hanshu, Wailu, and inscriptions dated early in the Kanishka era, that large Kushan dominions expanded into the heartland of northern India in the early 2nd century CE. Lines 4 to 7 of the inscription describe the cities which were under the rule of Kanishka, among which 6 names are identifiable: Ujjain, Kundina, Saketa, Kausambi, Pataliputra, and Champa. The Buddhist texts write Armapidikana Dinasutra, known via a Chinese translation made in 472 CE, refers to the conquest of Pataliputra by Kanishka. A 2nd century stone inscription by a great satrap named Rupiama was discovered in Pawnee, south of the Narmada River, suggesting that Kushan control extended this far south, although this could alternatively have been controlled by the western satraps. In the east, as late as the 3rd century CE, decorated coins of Huvishka were dedicated at Bodh Gaya together with other gold offerings under the Enlightenment throne of the Buddha, suggesting direct Kushan influence in the area during that period. Coins of the Kushans are found in abundance as far as Bengal, and the ancient Bengali state of Samatada issued coins copied from the coinage of Kanishka I, although probably only as a result of commercial influence. Coins in imitation of Kushan coinage have also been found abundantly in the eastern state of Orissa. In the west, the Kushan state covered the Parata state of Balochistan, western Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan was known for the Kushan Buddhist city of Merv. Northward, in the 1st century CE, the Kujula Kadphises sent an army to the Tarim Basin to support the city-state of Kucha, which had been resisting the Chinese invasion of the region, but they retreated after minor encounters. In the 2nd century CE, the Kushans under Kanishka made various forays into the Tarim Basin, where they had various contacts with the Chinese. Kanishka held areas of the Tarim Basin apparently corresponding to the ancient regions held by the Yuezhi, the possible ancestors of the Kushan. There was Kushan influence on coinage in Kashgar, Yarkand, and Khotan. According to Chinese chronicles, the Kushans requested, but were denied, a Han princess, even though they had sent presents to the Chinese court. In retaliation, they marched on Banjiao in 90 CE with a force of 70,000 but were defeated by the smaller Chinese force. Chinese chronicles relate battles between the Kushans and the Chinese general Banjiao. The Yuezhi retreated and paid tribute to the Chinese Empire. The regions of the Tarim Basin were all ultimately conquered by Banjiao. Later, during the Yuanchu period, the Kushans sent a military force to install Chenpan, who had been a hostage among them, as king of Kashgar.